Another welcome to Prime Sports with me, Razak Musbao. Now, the 2023 edition of the Millennium Marathon was launched today in Accra. Well, my colleague Kwame Benaya was there and came to with this report.
The event, which started in 2015, saw reps from various distinguished companies present for the occasion at the base lodge in Accra. Speaking at the occasion, race director Kathy Morton says one of the main purposes of the marathon is to help nurture the young talents in the country.
I remember we sponsored Ishmael Arthur to the Dubai Marathon, I think 3 years ago. And it's something that we look at to help athletes to develop and to improve. But in recent conversations, we've discussed how we can actually nurture the younger ones. And we've been thinking about how we can start a program for young children. And Nori and I were having a conversation about why the Kenyans and the Ugandans are so good, and many of us think that it's because of the high altitude. And he's telling me that it's not because of the high altitude, but because in Kenya, children still run. Children run to school and from school every day. But in Ghana and in Africa, the rest of the world, we take our children to school in cars. And he was saying they actually pick their children and put them on the seat, in the class. And children don't have, that exposure to run anymore. And so if we can begin to inculcate running in children, over the years, Millennium Marathon started a kids race. COVID shut us down, but maybe we can start that again. But let's look at the younger ones who are coming. Ishmael Arthur and Co are probably in their prime. Maybe in a few years, they probably won't be running anymore. So let's look at the young ones and see how we can nurture them together with the Ghana Athletics. And then maybe, who knows, we might bring the next future champion from Ghana. Yes.
The event, which had 5,000 participants last year, is expecting 7,000 athletes this year on September 2. The winner of the marathon for both male and female will walk away with an amount of 75,000 Ghana cedis. Second place takes home 50,000 Ghana cedis, while the third position will walk home with an amount of 30,000 Ghana cedis.
Now let's stay in athletics, where the Ghana Athletics has elected Bar Hussaini as the new president of the association for the next 4 years. Hussaini, who previously served as the chief executive officer of the association, was elected during its elective congress in Techiman earlier today. Now, all the 50 delegates at the congress voted for Hussaini to be at the wheel of affairs of the Ghana Athletics from now till 2027.
We are so honored to be elected into office. We know there's so much work to be done, and I know with these executives, we will do what we are supposed to do to take Ghana Athletics to the next level. We have got the experience, the knowledge, all the contacts, all the connections to move athletics forward. I will not say much. Our duty, our work will speak for itself. So we are so honored and we are so grateful to be elected. And I say thank you to everybody. We are honored. Thank you so much.
Joining us for some more perspective and some analysis on the new La Liga season is the La Liga rep for Ghana and Nigeria, Desmond Chiji, and he joins us all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, via Zoom. Desmond, good to have you, and finally the new season is upon us. Just a little reflection on last season. Let me just get your thoughts on what you made of last season as we look forward to the start of the new season tomorrow.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I think last season was kind of exciting. It was exciting. Barcelona and took the title away, and it was something that was great for them after coming back through what they came through. And then the other teams fought hard to get there, and eventually they couldn't do it. And it's still going to be interesting again. Sevilla came back from having a poor start to almost a great finish. They're winning the Europa League. Real Sociedad picked up form when it needed to be. Atletico Madrid faltered a little bit somewhat, but I think the last season was great, and I think this one is going to be even better.
Well, interesting. What's so unique about this season, though? What's really unique about this upcoming season? Of course, we know there's not going to be the goal line technology. That's something that caught a lot of people's attention. But beyond that, what's really unique about this season coming up?
Oh well, I think this season is going to be fantastic. It's no longer going to be, as you all know, it's no longer going to be La Liga Santander. It's going to be La Liga EA Sports, and it's a good marriage. And EA came at a point in time where great things are happening, and now the graphics, the designs, the visuals are going to be different. The match day experience for the fans is going to be different. It's going to be more exciting, better graphics, better designs, and it's going to be more competitive than ever. So I think we're going to have a great season, a great season this time around.
But let's talk in terms of the quality of players on display. Of course, we saw Madrid make a few signings, Jude Bellingham coming into the fray. Barcelona also made a few signings there. And of course, we've seen just a few signings in the Liga. But I mean, what's really your takeout in terms of the signings, the players that have come into the La Liga, and how do you think they will possibly fare?
Well, I think Barcelona, they had a great preseason. Madrid as well have had a great season under their belt. Barcelona too, Atletico Madrid too, and Sevilla as well, and other teams below there have somewhat had a great preseason. I think the teams are ready. The teams are ready to go again. They are all excited. And the new signings that are coming in, like Jude Bellingham, like you said, for Real Madrid, is going to be something refreshing. It's going to be something new. We are all excited to see him play. We are all excited to see what the impact that is going to bring to the strong Madrid side. Some players have left, and I believe that new players are coming in as well. And the transfer window is not yet concluded, and I believe more players are going to be coming in. I believe the players that have come in general are going to bring their own value. They are going to add their own impact. And for whatever team they play, we wish them the best, and we want them to have a wonderful season.
But I mean, let's just talk a bit about Barcelona. Of course, did pick up some reports that they are yet to finalize their registration of their players. But what can you share relative to that very situation at Barcelona?
Well, at La Liga there is a process. There are processes that we all had to adhere to. For all the clubs. I mean, all the clubs. So the processes are all agreed by the clubs, and Barcelona is going through a period of time where I think they are going to get better. They're just going through a little bit of time of change. We know when change comes, 2 or 3 things need to suffer a little bit, but I think they will be up there again. And we hope that before the transfer window closes, that they can be able to meet up the quota and get their players registered. And if they don't, then I think they will. I don't know what will happen. I hope that it doesn't get to that. We'll wait and see what happens. Anyways, we'll wait and see what happens. It's still a lot. It's still anything can happen at this point in time.
Well, I'm not going to ask you which team you believe might win the league. It's too early to get into that prediction. But let me just ask you which players you believe will be, if I should say, the face of La Liga this season. Which players are you counting to be the star players this season?
Wow. I'm looking at Jude Bellingham. I'm looking at the Iñaki brothers, Williams the Williams brothers, the Iñaki Williams and Nico Williams. I'm looking at Real Sociedad. We have Omar Sadiq as well. He's coming back from injury now. I'm hoping he's going to hit the ground running. I'm looking at Celta. They have some good players as well that are going to be doing some great work. And then you go to Villarreal. We have Chukwueze has left, but I believe they have a new striker that they've signed from Real Sociedad, if I'm getting it correctly. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking at great players. We have Jude Bellingham. I'm looking at Camavinga as well for Real Madrid. I'm looking at Tchouameni as well. He's going to be making a great impact. I'm sure he's going to be having more great game time this season. And then when you go to Barcelona, you got your Pedris and you got your Pedris, you got your Ansu Fatis and all that. I think they are also going to have a great season. And then the Iñaki brothers, the William brothers are also going to have. I'm sure they are going to have a great season for Athletic Bilbao.
Well, great. Chiji, thanks very much for your time. Of course, we'll be talking to you more as the season develops. You know, that's Chiji there, the rep for La Liga for Nigeria and Ghana. But just a little bit in staying in La Liga, Real Madrid goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois, he has ruptured his anterior cruciate ligament in his left knee and is likely to miss the majority of the season. Now, Thibaut Courtois, of course, he is 21 years old, the Belgian international. We understand he will undergo surgery in the coming days. And of course, Courtois was named the best goalkeeper in the world at last year's Ballon d'Or Awards. And he has won the Spain's La Liga twice since joining Real Madrid in 2018. He has also made 230 appearances for Real, who play Athletic Bilbao in the first La Liga game of the season on Saturday. Let's get to the English Premier League now, and of course, joining us is Rahman Osman, and all the way in London, of course, to bring us some up to speed on what's happening in the English Premier League. But just before we speak to Rahman Osman, Manchester City and Burnley, they will open the new Premier League season at the Turf Moor on Friday, and ahead of which Pep Guardiola, he has ruled out any chance of possibly winning the treble again. Well, Rahman Osman is a sports journalist. He's based in London, and he writes for London World, and he joins us all the way from London. Rahman, thank you so much for making time to join us on Joy News here in Accra. Of course, we know the English Premier League starting tomorrow. We've all been waiting for it, and even ahead of which, all the transfer rumors, Caicedo, Harry Maguire, has almost whet the appetite of a lot of people, ahead of that season. But just share with us, what is the atmosphere like in England ahead of the season start tomorrow?
Well, thank you for taking me to Newtown, Kotowazi, and Alajo without me having to buy plane tickets. So, yeah, and you're right. The Premier League is considered the biggest show in the world. I mean, so it's exciting. It's a little bit nervous for a lot of teams, because we have a team like Luton coming into the Premier League. It's a very small club, not a lot of money, but they're playing in the Premier League maybe for the first time in maybe 20, 25 years. So, yeah, like you rightfully said, tomorrow the first ball is kicked between champions Manchester City and then Burnley. And from there, it's all action, with the top liner being Chelsea against Liverpool at Stamford Bridge.
I mean, let's talk about, the season coming up. Of course, I know you've been following the changes that have been made to the season, this very season, of course, relative to extra time, trying to nib in the bud, time wasting, and all the other things that have been introduced ahead of the season. What has stood out for you in terms of the changes that have been introduced for this coming season?
Actually, I was at the World Cup in Qatar, where we saw for first time the attempt to cut time wasting. And so we had a lot of added time after 90 minutes. And you saw that in the Community Shield, didn't you? Where Manchester City had a lot of complaints because I think they had 8 minutes added to the game. And then Arsenal equalized, took the game to penalties and win. You will see a lot of that also. One thing again you're adding is to get managers not to react. So last season, we had a lot of reactions on the touchline. Mikel Arteta was incredibly involved. I don't want to say aggressive. Jurgen Klopp also was sent off at a point in time for his reaction to referees. And even Pep Guardiola at some point was being spoken to and all that. At the beginning of the season, we had that big clash between Thomas Tuchel and Antonio Conte, where they shaked hands and they pulled each other and all that. What the Premier League is trying to do, as a lot of players have said on socials already, is trying to take the human part of the game. I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but you'd see players react much more. You'd see a certain level of emotions being taken away because referees are going to be firm. And they've been told to show a lot of cards if somebody aggressively reacts. So these are a few changes, but keep an eye for the added minutes because a lot of games will go into 100 minutes.
Interesting, but let's narrow down to the movement of players. Of course, we know we've heard in the last hours or so that Harry Kane is most likely to end up in Germany. He's not going to be playing for Tottenham anymore. We'd like to get some update on that. There's a situation with Harry Maguire. West Ham want to get him out of Manchester. And of course, there's also Chelsea, who have been on with Moises Caicedo and are also showing interest in Romeo Lavia. And we understand Liverpool is somewhere in there trying to hijack the Moises Caicedo deal. I mean, let's talk about the transfers now. Harry Kane, Harry Maguire, Moises Caicedo. What do you have to share with us on these players?
Well, you've mentioned some of the world's best players. Harry is easily, for me, the best striker in the Premier League. And I know a lot of people will say Erling Haaland scored a lot of goals, but Harry, it's unbelievable. He's like Wayne Rooney when Wayne was quite really young. Plays as a striker, can play as a midfielder. 3-time Premier League Golden Boot winner. I think he won it in 2016, 2017, and 2021. Scored over 350 goals in his career. He's just 47 goals short of Alan Shearer's Premier League goal record. So that's massive for him. And Bayern are willing to spend almost £87 million. That's more than 100 million euros on him. He's 30. He's got 12 months on his contract. So it's really down to Harry at the moment if he really wants to go. And the big question is, where do Spurs go from here? Because if you think about Tottenham, I'm sure the first thing that comes into mind is Harry Kane. I mean, that's his boyhood club. Came through the ranks, scored a lot of goals, and he's literally the symbol of the club. So Tottenham will have now agreed that they will sell him. It's up to Harry to say, okay, I want to go, or no, I want to stay. Now, key here also is Harry's got 12 months left on his contract. He's not willing to sign a new contract at this particular moment. What it means is that he could sign a pre-contract with a club abroad. Could be Bayern in January, could be Inter, could be any team in Europe in 6 months, or he could walk away as a free player in 12 months. So Tottenham, Levy being a shrewd businessman saying, okay, I will sell at this price. And that's where we are with Harry Kane. I personally still think that we have a long way to go because I know Harry in person. I know what Tottenham means to him. I know what playing in North London means to him. But he's got to decide. A lot of people say he's got to start winning trophy. Henry Winter said on his socials this morning that the game is about glory, and glory is winning trophies. We'll see. It's up to him. Even people close to him now can't even confirm if it's going or not. But one thing is certain, that Spurs have finally broken and said they will sell him. On Harry Maguire, that's a really interesting one, only because he plays in Manchester, and I hardly see him or know what he is like behind the scene. One thing again about him is that the move to West Ham will be incredibly good to him on footballing reasons. He gets to play in a club where there's less pressure. One of the things about Harry that a lot of people don't understand is that he was an absolute baller at Leicester. And even when he came to Manchester United, despite all the pressure, we were with him at the World Cup in Qatar, and he was one of England's best players. And Southgate continues to back him. He played for England when England were impressive at the World Cup in Russia, played for England when they were impressive at the World Cup in Qatar, played for England when England got to the final of the Euros. Every time he's played for his country, he's been incredibly good. What that also tells us is that if you create an environment for him to excel, he will play very well. And I think David Moyes is experienced. He's got what it takes to get the best out of Harry. And he's an incredible leader. A lot of people say he could eventually be the captain of West Ham because Declan Rice is gone. So they are also looking for a new leader. And he's proven several. Yeah, he could be.
He could be the leader there. But the big question is, where will Moises Caicedo land? Is he going to go to Liverpool, or is he going to stay? He's going to come to London. Where is he going to land, Rahman?
That saga, every single time we think we've narrowed it down, it takes a different turn. 21-year-old Ecuador international. I think Chelsea really want him, and Brighton tell me always that they're willing to sell. They've never said they were never going to sell, but they are willing to sell at a price that they deem is the value. And bear in mind, West Ham sold Declan Rice for 105. That's where they're looking at it. West Ham sold Declan for 105. Chelsea paid Benfica over 100 million for Enzo Fernandez. And that's where they're looking at the gauge, and they're gauging and say, okay, if you paid Enzo, okay, he had a really good World Cup, but he's never played in the Premier League before. And you paid over 100 for him. You're coming for Caicedo, and is like Moises is incredibly good, maybe the closest thing to N'Golo Kante, and that's where the figure. Chelsea have had 3 bids already turned down, including something close to 85 million, and they're still not holding. And for him also, it's quite really important because Tony Bloom wants an upfront payment that is quite significant. So even if they're not going to pay for 100 million in the end, they've got to put down a substantial amount of money. And that's where the bone of contention is. In the last 2 hours, we understand that Liverpool also have been interested. And I'm surprised Liverpool haven't come into this in the last months. But now they are beginning to look and say, listen, we need to reinforce in the midfield. And that could be what Brighton need at this particular moment.
So it's unlikely. So it's very unlikely that we might see the end of this even before, the start of the season on Friday, or even before Chelsea and Liverpool meet there. Well, Roman, this is where time will permit us to talk about this. Of course, we'll keep the conversation on as the season has now started. That's Roman Osman, and thank you very much for making time with us here on Prime Sports. My name is Razak Musbao, and up here next is PM Express.